StatSeeker dashboards can include map panels, allowing you to display aspects of your network on a geographical map. You can show locations with high pings, or with down devices, or with free hardware resources. Anything that StatSeeker monitors, you can drop it onto a map. For data to be displayed in these panels, the StatSeeker configuration for the devices needs to contain the latitude and longitude of the device. In this video, I'm going to walk through the 4 methods available to update these configurations with the required location information. I'm going to start here with a map panel that I've configured to display the average ping values for devices in a given location. And we can see that the map is empty. That's because I don't have any location data for my monitored devices. So let's start adding some. The first method that I'm going to present is the primary way to update this information on your server. And that's importing geolocation data via the admin tool. I select admin tool, StatSeeker administration, geolocation import and export. We need to provide our geolocation data in CSV format. And we have here details around the acceptable syntax that you can use for that CSV data. Header row detailing the syntax provided, and then 1 row per device. The easiest method is to simply use the export option. This will provide the geolocation data details for every device currently being monitored by the server. Edit the file. I'll put in some values for London. And for some devices in Paris. Save the file and then re-upload it. Now, in the background, this will add a config rebuild to the server cron, so it may take a minute or two before the changes are reflected back in the dashboards. And here we are. I'm refreshing the panel. I get a couple of nodes on the map, and the map is automatically scaled to fit the available data. Now, this method is available in product in StatSeeker version 5.5.4 or later. It's also available as an SES package, which can be dropped onto a version 5.5.3 server. If you're interested in that, contact StatSeeker support. The other methods that we're about to cover are available on all StatSeeker servers version 5.5.0 and above. Okay, so the first method to look at for users on older versions is manually updating an individual device record. It's quick and simple, but it has the obvious drawback of only targeting a single device at a time. To do this, I head to the console and run the device details report. We can see here that the latitude and longitude columns are empty. I'll add details for the Berlin router. I click on the latitude and then drop in the value, and I'm going to repeat the process for longitude. So again, we'll need a config build to occur in the background before these values drop in on the map. And here we are. So, if you're on an older version of StatSeeker and only wanting to include a couple of dozen devices for your map panels, this may be the simplest way to proceed, but any more than that, and this method is just a little labour intensive. The next method, we're going to look at uses auto grouping to assign latitude and longitude to all devices in a given location. So for this, we need to head to the admin tool, user profile and grouping, auto grouping. Add a new rule. Name it. I'm going to ignore the groups to populate for this, but you can use it if you actually want to group the devices as well. But for now, I just want to update the location details. I'll set group type to device, and then I can set a filter that will select the devices that I'm after. I've already got a location-based group for Madrid, so I could just use that as the filter. But I could also use the sys location if all my devices have that information. And on my server, I can also use the device name, since the location is included in the name for the kind of hardware that I'm going to be using here. Then I click Show Advanced Options, and under Items, I select both latitude and longitude. Drop in the values I want, and I've got the option to test the rule, so I can confirm that the filter is working as intended, and I'm getting all of those devices that I was after. And if it's good, run the rule. And then I can update the filter and location details for another location. But back in our dashboard, again, once the config build is run, we can refresh and we'll get data for our devices in Madrid. So it's really not much more complex than our initial process, but we get to update all devices in a given location in a single go. The last method I'm going to showcase is using the API to update device configurations on my StatSeeker server. Now, the API is a REST API, so there are myriad ways to go about doing this, and a number of languages and framework can be used. Just go with whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not going to go into much detail, but the method I'll be showcasing uses a JSON file containing locations and their associated latitude and longitude, and then a Python script that loads that JSON object as a table, hits the StatSeeker server and retrieves the device name and sys location for every device on the network. And that's because my network, as I said earlier, has the location incorporated into the name or the sys location, or it's in both. So I'm going to drop that data into a list, and then we compare the list to our table, and when a match is found, we add the latitude and longitude to the list entry. And then finally, iterate through the list, updating the StatSeeker configuration for each device with our latitude and longitude details. If you're interested in using a script like this, but you'd like some help, contact StatSeeker support. We'll be able to give you a hand with that. And that's the 4 methods for adding latitude and longitude data in order to utilize the Worldmap panel in your dashboards.